A clandestine phrase, whispered perhaps in hushed tones through the opulent corridors of Buckingham Palace, has now been thrust into the harsh glare of public scrutiny, illuminating yet another dark chapter in the ongoing saga surrounding Andrew, the former prince. Revelations emerging from recently unsealed documents, purportedly linked to the sprawling Jeffrey Epstein scandal, suggest that a seemingly innocuous code word Mrs. Windsor served as a discreet pass for a procession of young women into the royal residence, allegedly at the behest of the erstwhile Duke of York. This startling disclosure, first reported by The Sun, injects a fresh, unsettling dimension into a scandal that has already significantly eroded the credibility and standing of a once prominent member of the British royal family. The core of these allegations centers on an alleged operational procedure designed to circumvent standard palace security protocols. According to sources privy to the inner workings of the royal household, Andrew reportedly employed a specific pre-wagon phrase when instructing staff to admit his visitors. Mrs. Windsor will arrive shortly. Please let her in and show her up, was the precise wording attributed to him. This seemingly benign instruction, now laid bare, is depicted as a sophisticated, albeit chilling, mechanism that facilitated an authorized entry for numerous women. The implications are profound, painting a picture of a system potentially exploited to maintain a veil of secrecy around activities that defied the stringent decorum expected within royal precincts. The timing of these women's visits, often coinciding with the late Queen Elizabeth II's absence at her Scottish retreat in Balmoral, adds another layer of intrigue and raises questions about deliberate concealment. Among those reportedly granted access were a Romanian model and a woman from Russia, both said to have been treated to private dinners within the palace walls. These claims, sourced from unnamed palace insiders uncorroborated by certain elements within the Epstein files, suggest a pattern of behavior that, if true, represents a significant breach of trust and protocol. While Andrew has consistently and vehemently denied all allegations of wrongdoing throughout this protracted ordeal, these new details intensify the pressure on him and the institution he once represented. The phrase itself, Mrs. Windsor, is particularly striking. It suggests a calculated detachment, a euphemism that simultaneously invoked his royal lineage while obscuring the true identity and nature of his guests. This alleged linguistic maneuver, designed to bypass formal checks and records, has now become a central, damning detail in a narrative already rife with controversy. The emergence of these details could not have come at a more precarious moment for the former royal, whose public image has been in a sustained freefall for over a decade. Royal biographer and Ruloni, in his incisive work entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, offers a historical and psychological context to Andrew's alleged conduct. Loney's analysis delves into what he describes as Andrew's profound sense of entitlement and an almost intoxicating immersion in his own perceived power. Attributes that, in retrospect, might explain a willingness to bend or break established rules. This historical perspective is crucial, as it suggests that the alleged use of a secret code was not an isolated incident, but potentially a manifestation of a deeper-seated behavioral pattern, nurtured by years of unchecked privilege. Sources, whose identities remain protected due to the sensitivity of the subject matter, describe a culture of quiet acquiescence among palace staff. Requests for these specific visitors, allegedly delivered through discreet, out-of-sight staff entrances, were reportedly so frequent that staff members, despite their internal misgivings, felt compelled to comply, often with a resigned yes, sir. The sheer volume of these alleged entries contributed to a deliberate lack of formal documentation, a situation reportedly exacerbated by Andrew's elevated status within the royal household. This systemic failure to record critical information meant that a significant aspect of his private life remained largely unscrutinized by official channels. Courtiers, it is claimed, were aware of these frequent visits and the unusual protocols surrounding them, often discussing them amongst themselves. Yet no formal challenge or intervention was ever mounted. This suggests a broader institutional reluctance or inability to confront a senior royal, a historical pattern that has occasionally surfaced in other royal scandals throughout the centuries. Adding significant weight and a degree of independent corroboration to these claims is Paul Page, a former Scotland Yard Royal Protection Officer who served within the royal household between 1998 and 2004. Page has publicly articulated similar allegations, providing an insider's perspective on the lax security surrounding Andrew's female visitors. While Page's own credibility has been questioned due to a 2009 conviction for a property scam, his detailed accounts offer a stark contrast between standard royal protocols and the unique arrangements allegedly made for Andrew. Page recounts how, for other senior royals such as the Queen or the Duke of Edinburgh, detailed information about after-hours guests, including names and arrival times, was routinely provided to protection officers in advance. Andrew's visitors, however, arrived with minimal information, accompanied by explicit instructions not to ask questions. Page vividly described how officers were simply informed that a female would arrive at a specific time, invariably after closing hours, approaching the front gate. The absurdity of the situation, according to Page, led to an internal joke among staff. Andrew, they quipped, should have a revolving door in his bedroom given the sheer number of women entering and exiting his private quarters. Beyond the security breaches, Page also characterized Andrew as a demanding and often bullying figure who treated palace staff with disdain, further illustrating a pattern of behavior consistent with the claims of entitlement. In a recent development that underscores the gravity of these revelations, Page has reportedly contacted Thames Valley Police, asserting that he possesses information crucial to their ongoing probe. He has stated his belief that he has a duty to share this intelligence, potentially advancing the police assessment. This act further elevates the seriousness of the allegations, moving them from the realm of tabloid speculation into the sphere of potential criminal inquiry. The underlying sentiment expressed by many observers is one of deep concern and condemnation that Andrew's alleged actions were not merely irresponsible but reprehensible, and that he was able to perpetuate such a system for an extended period. The use of the Mrs. Windsor Code, critics argue, epitomizes a man living off the borrowed prestige of his royal title, using it as his only cachet, his only trading chip in social circles that included figures like Epstein. These latest allegations do not exist in a vacuum. They emerge against a backdrop of far more serious and globally resonant accusations that have shadowed Andrew for well over a decade. At the epicenter of this storm is Virginia Giuffre, who stands as one of the earliest and most vocal advocates for criminal charges against Jeffrey Epstein and his extensive network of alleged enablers. Giuffre's harrowing testimony alleges that at the tender age of 17, she was trafficked by Epstein and coerced into sexual encounters with Prince Andrew on 3 separate occasions. The first of these alleged encounters, a pivotal moment in the scandal, is said to have taken place at Ghislaine Maxwell's London townhouse in March 2001. It was at this very location, and around this time, that the now infamous photograph was taken, depicting a smiling Andrew with his arm around a teenage Giuffre, an image that has become a haunting symbol of the entire controversy. Andrew's public response to these grave allegations came during his ill-fated November 2019 interview with BBC Newsnight, an event widely described by journalists as a car crash. His defense against Giuffre's claims was memorably idiosyncratic. He asserted that on the night of one alleged encounter, He had been at home with his daughters, having attended a party at a Pizza Express restaurant in Woking. His rationale for remembering this specific, seemingly mundane detail was equally peculiar. Going to Pizza Express in Woking was a very unusual thing for him to do. Furthermore, Jeffrey's claim that Andrew had been sweating profusely while dancing with her received an extraordinary denial. Andrew attributed his inability to sweat to a peculiar medical condition, which he controversially linked to an adrenaline overdose experienced during the Falklands War. The Newsnight interview proved to be a catastrophic miscalculation. The public reaction was overwhelmingly negative, and within days, Andrew was compelled to step back from all official royal duties. The legal proceedings culminated in February 22 with an out-of-court settlement between Andrew and Jeffrey for an undisclosed sum. While estimates of the settlement ranged wildly, from approximately $3 million to $12 million, the precise figure was never confirmed. A substantial donation to Jeffrey's charity, dedicated to supporting victims' rights, was part of the agreement, but crucially, Andrew made no admission of guilt as part of the settlement. The tragedy surrounding this saga deepened significantly on April 25, 2025, when Virginia Jeffrey died by suicide at her farm in Western Australia at the age of 41. Her family's poignant statement confirmed that she lost her life to suicide after being a lifelong victim of sexual abuse and sex trafficking. This profound loss only intensified the scrutiny and public outrage surrounding the entire affair. In a decisive move in October 2025, King Charles III formally stripped his brother of all remaining royal titles and honors. The list of what Andrew lost speaks volumes about the gravity of his fall: the title of Prince, the designation of His Royal Highness, and the peerages of Duke of York, Earl of Inverness, and Baron Killigrew were all rescinded. He is now known simply as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, marking the first instance in over a century that a member of the British royal family has been divested of their titles in such a comprehensive manner. Amidst these unfolding events, former Prime Minister Gordon Brown has become a vocal advocate for a thorough police investigation into Andrew's conduct, highlighting the astonishing fact that Jeffrey Epstein's private jet landed in the UK an astounding 90 times. Alarmingly, 15 of these flights occurred after Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting sex from a minor. Brown has critically asserted that previous investigations related to the former Prince Andrew failed to adequately examine vital evidence pertaining to these flights. In response to mounting pressure and new information, Thames Valley Police is now leading an ongoing assessment of allegations relating to misconduct in public office. They have confirmed engaging in discussions with specialist Crown prosecutors as part of their comprehensive evaluation, signaling a serious and potentially far-reaching inquiry. The ripple effects of this scandal have even reached the younger generation of royals. The Prince and Princess of Wales have publicly expressed their deep concern over the continued revelations, emphasizing that their thoughts remain focused on the victims. Despite the stripping of his titles, Andrew technically remains eighth in line to the throne, though removing him from the line of succession would necessitate an Act of Parliament, a complex and politically charged undertaking. He has also been evicted from his long-time residence at Royal Lodge and now resides in more private accommodation, a stark physical manifestation of his diminished status. From the alleged Mrs. Windsor code words used to facilitate clandestine entries into Buckingham Palace to the global reverberations of an international sex trafficking scandal, the walls are undeniably closing in on the man who once enjoyed all the privileges and prestige of royal life. Whether these latest, deeply disturbing allegations will ultimately lead to criminal charges against Andrew Mountbatten Windsor remains an open question, pending the outcome of police and prosecutorial assessments. However, what is unequivocally clear is that the precipitous fall from grace of a former prince, once a celebrated figure within the House of Windsor, represents a seismic event unlike anything the British monarchy has witnessed in living memory, compelling a profound and uncomfortable reckoning with the responsibilities and vulnerabilities inherent in royal privilege.